me ask you something. When was the last time someone told you, or you told yourself, we won't qualify for Medicaid? Maybe your parent owns a home. Maybe they get Social Security. Maybe your siblings did a quick Google search and everyone landed on the same conclusion. We make too much. We have too many assets. Medicaid is not an option. What if I told you that in most cases I see, families that were absolutely certain they didn't qualify, they actually did. Today, we're going to talk about Washington State Medicaid and long-term care, what it actually covers, how the rules actually work, and why the assumption that you don't qualify could be costing your family tens of thousands of dollars and a whole lot of unnecessary stress. Welcome back to From Overwhelmed to Relief, the Senior Caregiving Podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Calles, Senior Care Consultant, Advocate, Certified Dementia Practitioner, and someone who has walked this caregiving path, both personally and professionally. This is a podcast where we break down senior care decisions, talk honestly about dementia and caregiving, and help adult daughters find relief while taking clear, loving action. Because you deserve to get your mom the care she deserves without losing yourself in the process. If you're juggling your own life, work, marriage, kids, while trying to figure out how in the world you're going to pay for your parents' care, if you've been lying awake at night, running numbers that don't add up, this episode is for you. Here's the reality. Medicaid is one of the most misunderstood programs in all of senior care. And the misunderstanding it costs families in money, in time, in the quality of care their loved one receives. I have sat across from daughters and sons who have been managing their parents' care, sometimes for years, who never once asked about Medicaid because they were convinced they'd never qualify. And when we finally got into the details together, the truth was completely different from what they believed. Today, I want to change that. I want to give you the information you actually need so you can make a decision based off facts, not fear. So let's start with what most families believe about Medicaid and why those beliefs stop them from even looking into it. Belief number one, my parent makes too much money. I hear this one constantly. A parent gets $2,000 or $222 a month in Social Security, and the family assumes that's too much. Here's what most people don't know. Washington State is more flexible than most states when it comes to income. Even if your parents' income is above the standard threshold, and in 2006, that's around $29.82 a month gross, there are still pathways to eligibility. Washington Medicaid rules allow for what's called an income trust in certain situations. The number alone doesn't disqualify your parent. Belief number two, we own a home and they'll take it. This causes so much unnecessary panic. The truth? If a spouse is still living in that home, what Medicaid calls community spouse, that home is protected. It's a non-countable asset. The state is not swooping in and taking the house while your other parent is still alive and living in it. There is a community spouse protection built into the law specifically to prevent that. Belief number three, memory care is never covered by Medicaid. Also not true. I can't believe how many times I hear this. Memory care, when a resident is medically eligible, can be covered through Medicaid contracted facilities. The key phrase is Medicaid contracted. Not every memory care accepts Medicaid, but many do. And adult family homes, almost all of them do. You know, I'm a huge advocate of adult family homes, especially in cases like this. And knowing which ones do and how to bridge the gap while the application process is going is exactly the kind of thing I help families navigate. Belief number four, we need to spend everything down before we even apply. Sometimes families wait and wait, burning through savings while they assume there's some magic number that they have to hit before they can even apply. Strategy matters here. The earlier you get accurate information, the more options you have. Here's what I want to talk about with you today. Washington Medicaid rules are more flexible than most people realize. And the earlier a family looks at a situation honestly, the more options they typically have. Let me walk you through the basics. And I want to be clear. These are general guidelines. Your parent's specific situation matters, and there are nuances, But let's get you oriented. In Washington state, Apple Care, long-term care, which is the Medicaid program that covers long-term care. I know that's a lot. It can help pay for adult family homes, assisted living, memory care, nursing homes, and in-home care through the COPES program. COPES. For a single person in 2026, the income limit is around $29.82 a month. The asset limit is $2,000 in countable assets. But here's the thing, not everything counts. The primary home often is exempt, especially when a spouse lives there. A vehicle, often exempt. Personal belongings, wedding rings, prepaid burial plans, exempt. And if your parent is married, the spouse who is still living at home, the community spouse, can typically keep the home, a vehicle, significant assets, and a portion of the couple's combined income. Those are called community spouse protections, and they exist specifically to make sure that one spouse isn't impoverished when the other spouse needs care. Medicaid also looks at medical need, not just finances. The assessed level of care is needed. Safety concerns, the ability to live independently. A care assessment is typically a part of the process. I want to share a situation that captures most everything that I just described. I've changed the details to protect privacy, but this is a story rooted in experiences. Not long ago, I was working with a family, 3 adult daughters whose father had Alzheimer's. He was in his early 80s and had mobility limitations from a fused hip and had been rotating between his daughters' homes because none of them were able to set up for his care. He'd been telling family members he was going to leave, looking for the door. That family needed a secure memory care community. Not eventually, now. On top of everything else, one of the daughters who had been his primary caregiver had just been hospitalized herself with a serious health crisis. The family was in full-blown crisis mode. When we talked about finances, they immediately said, he won't qualify for Medicaid. He has Social Security and his wife is in a nursing facility. They own a home together. And I gently stopped them to say, let's actually look at this. His income was just over $2,000 a month, under the threshold. His countable assets were minimal. And the home, because his wife was still living, even though she wasn't skilled, it was classified as protected community spouse asset. It did not count against him. We got the Medicaid's pre-screening done. His application was in process within a few days. And we identified memory care communities in the area that accept Medicaid and were willing to work with a private pay bridge while the application process was being completed. Because Medicaid approval time usually takes about 45 to 90 days. 3 daughters who had been carrying this together under impossible pressure finally had a path forward, a real one. And not because the situation changed, but because they had accurate information. That's what this work is about. Action steps. Okay, so what do you do from this? Here's where to start. Step 1. Don't assume. If your parent's income, owns a home, or has assets, don't assume they don't qualify. Get the actual information before you write Medicaid off as an option. 2. Know what documents you need. Medicaid applications require specific paperwork. Start gathering these things. Social Security award letters, bank statements, pension information, Medicare cards, insurance policy, property information, a copy of the power of attorney documents, medical diagnosis, a current medication list. Get organized now. Even if you're not ready to apply, this will save you enormous stress later. Understand the private pay bridge. If your parent needs placement now and the Medicaid application is in process, some communities will accept private pay while the application process is pending. This is a conversation worth having. Don't let the application timeline stop you from moving forward with placement if placement is what's needed. Step 4, apply earlier than you think you need to. The biggest mistake families make is waiting too long. Medicaid approval takes time. The earlier you start, the more options you have. And step 5, this is a big one. Get help. You don't have to figure this out alone. There are people who do this every single day. I do this every single day. A senior care consultant, a Medicaid specialist, an elder law attorney, those are resources that are specifically designed to help families like yours navigate this. I will put all this information to all those places that I just mentioned in the show notes. This week, I want you to do just one thing. Have an honest conversation in your family or just with yourself about where your parents' finances actually stand. Not what you think, not what you're afraid of, the actual numbers. Write it down. Their monthly income, their savings and assets, whether they own a home or who's on the title, and whether they have a spouse who is still living. That's it. You're not applying for anything. You're not making any decisions right now. You're just getting honest with yourself so you can make an informed choice from a place of clarity instead of fear and chaos. Then share this episode, tag Clark County Senior Resources on Instagram, and tell me, what did you learn today that you didn't know before? I really want to hear from you. This week's mantra: I make decisions from information, not assumptions. Clarity is an act of love. If this episode felt like it was speaking directly to you, it was. If you're trying to figure out whether your parent qualifies for Medicaid or if placement is even on the horizon and you have no idea how to pay for it, if you're in crisis right now, I want to talk to you. This is exactly what I do, and my free discovery call is for. In that call, we'll talk about where things actually stand with your parent, what options are available to you now and in the future, what resources exist in your area, and how I can help you move forward without pressure, without a sales pitch, without having to figure it out all alone. Book that call on Calendary. The link will be in the show notes. And please subscribe to this podcast, leave a rating and a review, and share this episode with a daughter who has been telling herself that her family will not qualify. You might be handing her the information that can change everything. Before I go, if today's episode stirred something up for you, if you're sitting with new questions or finally feeling like this might actually be a path forward, I want to invite you to bring that conversation into the Strong Daughters Club. It's a free Facebook community where women just like you, daughters, who are managing and trying to figure it out and are refusing to quit, show up for each other every single day. If your family is wrestling with Medicaid questions, you're probably not the first one in the group. Come find your people. The Strong Daughters Club is on Facebook. Find the link at www.clarkcountyseniorresources.com. I hope you find it, and I can't not wait to see you there. Next week, we're going to be tackling another tough conversation, a reality that no one talks enough about. You won't want to miss it. Thank you for being here. And until then, be gentle with yourself.